Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our special Grand National preview programme here on attheraces.com. You may be watching on Facebook. You may be watching, of course, on YouTube. Wherever you're tuning in, you are more than welcome. It was the great Ginger McCain who said Aintree was stone-cold magic. And he's right. There's been a lot of changes to the track, of course. Much, of course, for the better, welfare-wise. But if you're a punter, there's still the sweetest feeling if you can find the winner of the Grand National itself. And who will win this year? Will it be the favourite? He's well in, apparently. Cloth cap. Tom Scudamore itching to ride him. He won at Newbury, he won at Kelso, and he's now a red-hot favourite to give owner Trevor Hemmings yet another success in the race. Any second now for Ted Walsh has been heavily backed in the last couple of months. His warm-up for the race was over 2 miles. He was impressive. There is Magic of Light. She was second to Tiger Roll, of course, for Jessie Harrington in 2019, but for a mistake at the last may well have been even closer. And those romantics amongst you would love to see a big run from Bristol de May. Daryl Jacob has always said the National could be the making of him. He will carry top weight for Nigel Twiston-Davies on Saturday afternoon. And he could carry that with distinction as well. And they're just 4 of them. Another 36 to pick from. Matt Chapman here. Remember at the Cheltenham Festival preview, he was dressed in the Rich Ritchie colours. He's now in the Darren Yates black and white here. So you must be a Black Lion fan.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Great to have John Hunt hosting the show today. We have got 2 knowledgeable other guests as well. Looking forward to it, John. The world's greatest horse race, the most watched horse race on planet Earth.
Yep.
And what I don't want from anyone tonight, and I want to put this out there right now if the Coddy Boy and Blakey are listening, I don't want anyone going on about it's not the race it once was. If you walk round the course of the Grand National now, it is still one hell of a test. You still have to jump brilliantly. Now, I think you look at it slightly differently to what I've just suggested. In the past, it was almost an extreme sport, or what we'd call nowadays an extreme sport. Now it's just proper sport. It is a test. It takes some jumping. We don't need any of that, oh, it's easy to do. You know, the thing they all roll out. Those ex-jockeys like Coddy will say it wasn't like it when I was riding when I was 10, and Kevin Blake will have some relation who rode in it when he was 4 or something. But it is a test, and it is going to take some jumping.
Well, you've just revealed who our special guests are. Jamie Codd,
I think everyone knew that already.
I think they probably did.
Yeah.
And Kevin Blake, who served us so well at the Cheltenham Festival preview.
Is that a real man, or is Coddy stuffed? Oh, no, he's moving. He's there.
Jamie, I think you'll find Matt's in a funny sort of mood tonight. There's a change.
Thanks for having me, lads. I think Matt is always in a kind of a funny mood, so...
Let's just pick up upon that point, Jamie, if you don't mind. You very nearly won the Grand National on Cause of Causes, didn't you? You've been round there and won the Foxhunters. What sort of a test is it these days?
Yeah, look at it. It's obviously still a test, but... I think the fences have taken a little bit away from the jumping aspect of it. You have to jump them, obviously, but I think there's a bigger chance of you probably getting unseated more so than in the past where you know, you had to jump. Speed is probably coming more and more into it with the way drainage is done on tracks and all that. But look, it's a Grand National, and it's the race everybody wants to win.
Still get your blood pumping, Kevin Blake?
Oh, for sure, Hunty. Yeah, look, it's a different race now, definitely. Despite what Chapman says, and I'd be in Jamie's camp. Look, it's not the specialist jumping test that it once was. They still take more jumping than regulation fences, but the difference between them and the regulations just isn't nearly as wide as it once was. It's a more competitive race as a result. We have a deeper field takes part in the race now than it would have 20, 30 years ago. So I'd contend that while it isn't as tough a jumping test, it's a harder race to win now, because the field isn't getting so thinned out by the jumping test, and more horses tend to be in contention for longer. So it's still a fiercely difficult race to find the winner of. But we'll give it a crack, John, and see where we end up.
So many excuses, wasn't there? Already. So it's a difficult race. It's a harder test, harder to find the winner. I mean, for someone who did not bad, I have to hold my hands, not bad at Cheltenham, at least he got one right anyway. So many excuses, Kevin, already you've thrown to our viewers.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed that they've switched myself and Jamie's screens around. So you might be slightly out of my reach for a few haymakers this evening, Chapman. But I'll try and get to you some way or another.
But to remind you, Kevin found Mrs. Milner for you amongst others.
Okay, John. Okay,
a 33-1 winner.
Okay.
Jamie's Nat Galvin absolutely dotted up, and your Chantry House won as well, Matt. So you were all in great form, weren't you? Jamie, can I come to you if you don't mind? Obviously, if it weren't for One for Arthur, you would have been a Grand National winner. Any chance you could pick up a ride for Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just waiting. I have to go into Sneezy's in the morning, and we'll see from there. Now, there's a couple not chopped up yet, so yeah, Milan Native is down there, and Shattered Love as well. So look, I'll keep my fingers and toes crossed. I'd love to be there on Saturday, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, OK. Well, we'll talk about your rides as the evening progresses here. The betting for some while now has had, of course, Cloth Cap at the head of the market. A stone well in, so they say. We'll get the boys' thoughts on that very, very shortly. Wouldn't it be lovely if Tom Scudamore could win? His dad, Peter, could never quite crack the Grand National. His grandfather won it, though, of course, all those years ago. Burrows Saint is an Irish National winner. That race, of course, run yesterday, has a great tradition of unearthing Grand National winners itself. Any second now for Ted Walsh, who won it with Papillon. Kimberlite Candy. Is that one going to be the best of the British? Minella Times, likely to be ridden by Rachel Blackmore, a 12-1 chance as well. Secret Reprieve, Evan Williams' Raider from Wales, the Welsh Grand National winner, in there at 14-1. Lots to go at, gentlemen. Can I just throw it open here? Now, hands up, I am against Cloth Cap. I don't think he's going to get home. Anybody share my reservations?
Oh, taking him on, Tunty. Got to take him on. Got to take him on.
But Kevin, let's get into this straight away. The idea he's not going to get home has to be one of the most stupid reasons not to fancy him. Right. This is a horse who's finished third in a Scottish National over 4 miles. Yep. Remember that this isn't 4.5 miles. Lots of people say it's 4.5 miles.
It's not 4 miles, is it?
No, it's 4 miles, 2.5 furlongs.
Oh, yeah.
And in no sign in that Scottish National did he suggest that he wouldn't get another. Of all the reasons to come up with, stamina is a ridiculous one.
And Ayre's such a demanding stamina track, isn't it?
Well, how many of these have gone 4 miles well?
Well,
loads of them.
No, hardly any, to be quite frank, Blakey, if you've done your research. Hardly any, which is why our host was stumped for an answer just then, because he hasn't done the research. Look, well, let's just get back to the facts. Stamina is not going to you can't just say it's like this is like the old horse in the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Did it get uphill or didn't it just run to form? If Cloth Cap doesn't win the National, it's not because he doesn't stay.
OK. When was the last front runner to win the National?
How do you know he's going to front run?
He's going to be up there, isn't he? He's going to be up there. He's going to front run. Do you think he'll get the trip then, Kevin?
I wouldn't be that worried about the trip, to be honest. Look, he's a very sharp price. Look, he did run very well in that Scottish National a couple of years ago now. And look, he seems to have improved quite a bit for a combination of cheek pieces and a switch to front running. I wouldn't be leaning too heavily on the fact that he's officially a stone well in. Look, that's a fact. That's what the handicapper's given him. But I don't know if I believe Kelso was quite as good as it looked. Small field race, not the most reliable set of customers in behind him. He was impressive, but, you know, would I make him full value for being a stone well in? I probably wouldn't. And look, if you do fancy Cloth Cap, and it's perfectly reasonable to fancy him, the one bit of advice I'd give you is probably don't back him now. Yeah. Wait until the morning of the race. I think I'd be pretty certain you're going to get bigger than 4-1 at the morning of the race, and you might get quite a bit bigger, to be honest. It is a national. There'll be plenty of bookmakers competing with each other in the morning to go get him. And if you do fancy him, I'd say wait, but we'll find a few of the beer prices, Hunty, won't we?
That might be the most sensible thing any of us say all through this preview programme, because his price will be bigger on Saturday morning than it is right now.
Well, hold on.
Jamie, where do you stand on...
I would like to say
I'm in charge tonight, Matt.
I will make more sensible remarks than that.
Cut his mic. Jamie, what's your view on Cloth Cap?
I think he's too skimpy at 4-1 for me. He's obviously a nice weight, 10.5, but at 4-1, I think he is there now. I think there's so many more at each way of money. I think he's got a great chance of being in the first 5, but to actually win it, no, I can't see it.
I can't see it either. Kevin can't see it. You clearly can, Matt.
Absolutely. And first of all, I'd like to say to Coddy, it's great to find a jockey who understands betting so well. Thanks, for Coddy, for being in that camp. I feel sorry for Coddy. Of course, he should be talking about winning the Irish National today because he should have won that yesterday on the big dog. But anyway, that didn't happen. Look, this is the same. If you want the truth, ladies and gentlemen, this is the truth. None of these will tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth. The truth is this. Pundits, punters, people who write in papers, they will not tip cloth cap if they can try and not to, because they get nothing if it wins the race. If you write in a paper or you're a tipster, tipping cloth cap is no good to you. So almost all the paper tipsters will try and go against cloth cap.
Yeah.
And that is factual. You understand where I'm coming from?
I do, absolutely, yeah.
You get nothing for tipping it. Your paper's not going to be saying, oh, well done to John Hunt for tipping cloth cap, the favourite in the National. So most of the pundits will go against the horse.
Yeah.
But let's deal in factual things about this horse. The drying ground, absolutely up his street. He is chucked in at the weight, whether you believe he is or not. His big field form is his best form, even though he's run in big fields only a few times. That includes the win in the Ladbrokes Trophy, 18 runners. The 8th in the Fort Wool when Kim Muir was a good run. The 3rd of 23 in the Scottish National was an excellent run. And he even has a run back at Huntingdon back in the day in a 15-runner race. All his big field form is excellent. He jumps for fun. Tom Scudamore's bred to win the race, even though he has a horrific record. You are terrible in this race, Scoo. But there are a lot of positives there. He's trained by a man who's a genius, John Joe O'Neill. He's owned by a man who always wins the race. Look, cloth cap, whatever anyone tells you, can easily win the Grand National.
Yeah.
Easily.
I love the way you've brought in that Huntingdon form from Boxing Day 2017 now. That's the key line of form, Kevin. It was there in the form book all along.
No, what you love is that someone has done some research and gone back further than just a couple of runs like this lot.
Sorry, Kevin, you were about to say?
Well, I'll tell you what, and it's a serious point. Rather than looking back to Huntington in 1962, I'll tell you where you need to be looking, Matt, and where all of cloth cap supporters need to be looking. Oh. What you need to do, Matt, is leave the studio, drive up to Liverpool, take John Joe O'Neill with you, and stand guard out in that track, because arguably one of the biggest dangers to cloth cap is them overwatering this track.
Yeah.
They're very worried about the lack of rain. They're already watering. We know the situation with the Grand National now, and there's a real drive there for the surface to be safe. And they're putting down more water than they are on the Milmay course and the hurdle track already. And if you're a cloth cap supporter, I would be very concerned that they're going to put down a heap of water, and they might just compromise his chance just a little bit.
I think Matt's gone to file a bullying complaint against the three of us, to be honest with you. Hopefully we'll see him back. But it's a great point, Jamie, isn't it? There is no way a modern-day Grand National can be run on quick ground.
No, that day is gone, John. It really is. Welfare, horse welfare, safety, all these things. No, it's just not left a chance anymore. We've such good weather forecasts now. We know exactly what's happening 5 days beforehand, 6 days beforehand, and so they are going to have it well watered. I think it'll be just on the easy side of good. I don't think they'll water to soft. I do think that it'll be just what we call in Ireland good to yielding.
Yeah, and on the talk of the ground, incidentally, we must say all the very best to Suleka Varma, who is in charge of the Grand National for the first time. She should have had a big day 12 months ago, of course, but COVID had other ideas. So good luck to you, Suleka, with a clean and happy event on Saturday afternoon. Right, guys, if it's not to be cloth cap, who is it to be? Where should we start next? I mean, any second now seems to be reverberating around the place, Jamie, and has been for some time, particularly after that win over 2 miles last time. That seemed a great prep.
Yeah, I look at my big worry here is this horse. He lined up in an Irish National and just didn't perform. Whether it's the big field that day or whatever. He didn't perform, and that's what's kind of sticking in my head with this horse. Look at, he's had a grand prep around, you know, the last day over 2 miles, and that's fine, but this is a different kettle of fish. 40 runners around in a Grand National. It's going to be, you know, helter-skelter early doors, and just whether this horse has the bottle for it, I'm not sure. But look at, he's a previous Kim Muir winner, and you know, he comes from Ted Walsh Academy, so you can't dismiss him.
Yeah. What do you make of him, Kev?
Yeah, I like him, Hunty. I like him a lot, to be honest. When he won the Kim Muir a couple of years ago, like he only won by a few lengths now, but watch it again. He absolutely bolted up.
Yeah.
Derek O'Connor was apologising from a long way out now and didn't want to make too much of a show of it. But the horse absolutely bolted up, and he was teed up for the National last year, didn't get his chance. He's been teed up for it again this year, and like it's an unorthodox prep, I suppose, in this day and age. But he was very impressive, winning the Webster Cup over 2 miles last time at Navan. You know, the horse he beat, Castle Grace Paddy, nearly won a Grade 2 at Fairyhouse the other day. You know, it's good form. I think this is a proper graded horse, and they've minded him with a view to the National. And looking. We were jesting a little bit earlier about the differences between the modern National and old Nationals, but on a serious point, you know, I think you do need a different type of jumper for these new fences. You know, in the past, you'd look for a kind of a steady, safe jumper that wasn't going to hit the fences because they were so stiff. But nowadays, you watch Tiger Roll zipping around there, and he's taking the top 6 inches off all of them. You know, and that's the way to go. You don't want to be wasting energy by putting too much into your jumping. And you watch this fella jump regulation fences, and he's not dissimilar. Like, he doesn't spend that long in the air. He's quite low and efficient. And, you know, coming from the yard that he comes from, you know, I'm sure he would have seen plenty of National fences at home. And I just think he's one that could really take to it and jump those fences the right way. And, you know, Ted Walsh has been there and done it in the National, albeit the old National. But this horse has been properly teed up for this, and last time was the best run of his life. He'll be in raging good form now, and yeah, he's pretty high up my list, Hunty.
Yeah, me too, Jamie. Me too, Kevin. Jamie, do you side with Kevin's assessment there of the jumping technique that can be rewarded round Aintree these days, skimming through the top of them?
Yeah, well, look, you have to skim through the top of them, but you also have to have your 4 legs underneath you when you're at the other side. You know, so I don't know. Some horses are good at that, and they're good at finding their feet at the far side. It will honestly be interesting to see how he takes to it over the first 3 or 4 fences, and if he gets into a rhythm and he gets into it and enjoys it. Yeah, look at, he's a horse that can run really, really well. And as I say, connections, been there, done that with Papillon. So look at, you definitely can't dismiss him, but I'm just not sure. I think he's been very, very in and out on form.
If you're watching from home, leave a comment in the comments section, and we'd love to hear from you tonight here on this special Randox Grand National Preview programme. Matt, you've been quiet for 60 seconds or so. What's on your mind?
Well, look, this is what you do on a show, John. You rev it up a little bit, get everyone going, but then the people want to hear these professionals speak.
Yeah.
It's not a one-man show, this. I want to talk about Any Second now. I think people are latching on to the fact that the preparation is very similar to how Ted's done it before. For me in this, I'm not absolutely sure Lightning does strike twice with that kind of preparation. It seems unlikely that 2 horses would need exactly the same kind of weird preparation. But look, it's Ted Walsh for a start. Ted, if you're watching this, I think you're a top bloke. So just want to make that absolutely clear, because he's frightening, Ted. If you get on the wrong side of Ted, he's frightening. So I wish him all the best. I just wanted to go, I know Kevin will laugh at this, but I did just want to go back, because this horse, as the guys have been saying, has back class with the likes of Footpad, Monolith. And if you go back to the Easter Festival, April the 16th to 18th novice hurdle of 2017.
You love that year, don't you?
I do. Yeah. Kevin Blake will love this. Unseated rider in that was Any Second now at 7-1. But the 10-1 winner, 3 points bigger, do you know that horse? A certain Al Boom Photo. So it just shows you
Wow.
this horse has mixed it with some good uns. Blakey looks as though he's just had, like the missus has just said, come upstairs straight after the show. He looks absolutely ecstatic there. You're right, Blakey.
I just can't help but smile when you're talking, Chapman. It's uncontrollable.
There's a horse.
He's got his shorts on again, hasn't he?
There's a horse of Jamie Snowden's engaged this week called Chapman's Hype, actually, in the handicap hurdle. So
well, Chapman's Hype, superbly trained.
That's maybe
named after me. Do you know Liz Doyle?
Yep. Throw us another one of the market leaders, Matt, that you think is going to rev it up a bit on Saturday.
Poor old God, he's thinking to himself, how has it come this bad that I've missed an Irish National winner and I've ended up with this idiot in the space of 24 hours? How's it come to that? Don't worry, you can go into Sneezy tomorrow and beg for a national ride. Right. The horse that I will be tipping up to win the race...
Don't say Kimberlite Candy.
Is Kimberlite Candy.
Oh, no.
Why is that funny?
Don't you need like a well-handicapped horse?
Over this distance, I think Kimberlite Candy could be a well-handicapped.
OK. Sorry, go on.
Stays all day.
Yep.
Already proven over the fences, although I obviously some of the panel say that you don't need to be, but I think it helps. A 9-year-old could still be improving, and judged by the last 3 runs, there's every chance of that. A good run against a horse who's an absolute specialist in this race, although probably doesn't stay the national trip in Villon Rouge. And I genuinely think that Richie McClernand has at least a being... Look, we all, I'm sure, get asked by our friends and family in the national, and because you work in racing, everyone thinks you know the winner. It's the one horse race you probably would rather not have to give a tip in many ways. If I was giving an each-way selection to someone, I think this horse is going to be very hard to keep out the frame. And on the basis that we're bookmakers going 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 places, I would have thought at 12, 14 to 1, Kimberlite Candy will give you a return. That's how I look at it.
OK, hands up for me with Kimberlite, guys. I think he's now moderately handicapped. What do you reckon?
I'm sure he'll give you a lovely spin until about the 4-mile mark, just like he did in the Eider, and then he stopped like he was shot. I don't know about his stamina now, Matt. I'd be worried about that.
Why is it so funny to you that a horse should go through that pain barrier and then... He didn't really stop in the... I don't know. Did he stop?
That was his only try at 4 miles. I thought he was pretty weak late on now. It might just not have been good enough now, but...
I mean, he stayed really strong in the Warwick Chase. And that was 3 mile 5. It's not that much shorter. Honestly, let's talk seriously
here. You
here.
have to do the research, Matt.
If a horse stays 3.5 mile under a park course strong, I really believe, Jamie, that you're going to... That stamina, look, he might not be good enough, but I genuinely believe if what we're all saying is these fences are relatively easy to jump these days, if you stay 3.5 strong over park fences, surely you get the national trip.
No.
Poor Matt. He's going to be a broken man after this.
This is why Jamie Codd has never turned professional. Amateur.
Matt's too busy looking back to 2017 when all the evidence is there in 2019.
I wish I'd driven to Liverpool now.
Jamie, do you not give Kimberlite much of a chance then?
I think he's too exposed myself, and I kind of agree with Kevin. I think the last 3 furlongs are going to be a long, long way for him. So I kind of, he'll run well for a long way, but I think there's others there that will give you a better run for the money.
Can you throw another name into the mix then, Jamie, just to get us thinking here?
A horse of Tizard's, Mr. Malarkey.
Wow.
What?
There's one for you.
Yeah, well, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you.
First win of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great for the Tizards, wouldn't it? After a difficult season, Colin bowing out, be a really great story, wouldn't it? But why this horse in particular then, Jamie?
I just feel that he's a horse that he beat the conditional in an Ascot Chase back in December, and I just feel that he's run the last day in Kempton. I think he's kind of been laid out a little bit. Tizard's horses are coming into good form. Does he stay? Does he not stay? We're not going to know until the day. But I just think when you're bringing the conditional form into it, I just give him a squeak at a big price.
Well, that's the sort of one we're looking for, isn't it? You're right. That conditional four, poor old the conditional, no longer with us. But he won at the Cheltenham Festival, didn't he? And he was placed in the Ladbrokes Trophy at Newbury as well. Good horse, solid. That's solid form, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it brings a lot of solid form to it, and at a price, I just think he could be worth something anyway.
Yeah, well, if you shop around, you might get over 33 to 1 about him, Mr. Malarkey. Kevin, have you got an outsider that you got your eye on?
If you're talking about ones at massive prices, taking risks was one that I had in the mix, rightly or wrongly now. The guy, I'm trying to see what price he is here. He's something like 50 to 1, 40 to 1, 50 to 1. And look, he's one for the old boys. He's 12. Nicky Richards has done a great job with him. And in fairness to him, despite his age, he looked better than ever last time. And I suppose the thing I'm latching on to is he's only had one chance really at a marathon trip. And he won the Scottish Grand National a couple of years ago. And they haven't tried him at anything like 4 miles again, which is interesting. And I think he's got a proper chance of getting the trip here. Look, he'll need to improve again, which might be a big ask for a 12-year-old. But he's a pretty reliable sort in the main. And I just thought at a big price, he could be one to have on your side.
When he won at Doncaster in the Sky Bet Handicap Chase, Matt, do you remember it? Nicky Richards, I don't know if you were there. Nicky Richards, this is his hack at home, and Nicky was so emotional. Goodness help him if he wins the Grand National itself with this horse who is clearly so well loved.
Yeah, I mean, I did a feature for. The reason I can't remember if it was at the races or Sky Sports Racing, but one of the two.
Oh, right,
this channel, roughly, with Nicky Richards, and he absolutely loves this horse. He's had his problems, isn't it? He's had 2 runs since the wind surgery. He's obviously not been easy to train, but he's not the most ridiculous selection. That Mr. Malarkey wasn't the most ridiculous selection either. I'd fancy Mr. Malarkey more chance of winning than taking risks, funny enough. I think Mr. Malarkey, he's got a 4th in the RSA to top of the game. He's always had a bit of class. In many ways, he's been a bit disappointing. But despite being a bit disappointing, he's now at his best handicap mark that he's been. He ran well at Kempton last time. I think Coddy has plucked one out of the ether there that isn't the worst suggestion ever.
Matt, you're only doing it now.
Sorry, Coddy, what was that? What was that? I didn't hear what he said.
It probably wasn't to your advantage, Matt.
No, most comments from across the Irish pond on this show are not. Yeah, I'd be surprised if taking risk could win this, to be honest.
Do you have a sneaky outsider up your sleeves, Matt?
Not really, no. I thought, look, the boys will laugh at this because he can't really. I don't think he actually stays the trip. But again, if you were with a bookmaker paying the first 8, and while everyone can laugh at that, each way at 40 to 1, the first 8 is like having a decent price winner. I would stick Villiam Rouge in. I think he could easily be in the first 8 because I think he could have every chance over 2 out, Villiam Rouge. And of course, there would be a little irony if Cloth Cap and Villiam Rouge are neck and neck.
Yeah, exactly.
Conor O'Farrell happens to go and beat Tom Skoo. He was on the wrong one, Skoo, when Villiam Rouge absolutely hacked up last time. Look, that's a horse who is like a red rum, but over the modern day fences, isn't it? That he just comes alight for whatever reason over those fences.
Yeah.
I personally think that 3.5 is as far as he wants to go, but you never know.
Do you know, gents, there's every chance we've not mentioned the winner yet. We're half an hour into this programme. Yeah. No one's talked about Burrow Saint yet, the Irish National winner.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to talk about him now because he was right in the mix for me. He won the Irish National as a 6-year-old. He was the first one in quite a while. With relatively very little experience over fences at the time. And look, they've minded him. They tried to tee him up for the race last year. Obviously didn't get to run in it. And they've teed him up again for it this year. They brought him along steadily. I thought it was a good run in the Bobby Joe last time. I'm suspecting and kind of hoping he just needed the run. But getting back to a marathon trip on nicer ground, I think he jumps well enough for the job at hand. Does jump a little bit to his right at times, just a little bit. He wouldn't want to make a habit of it now over the big ones, but he's very high up on my list, Hunty now. When Willie he doesn't do it with loads of horses now for handicaps, but when he really tees one up like he has with this fella, he normally isn't too far from the mix when it matters.
Where do you stand on Borough Saint, Jamie?
I've been wicked disappointed with him since the Irish National. I know he went back to Punchestown and Rachel Blackmore won on him, but beaten 40 lengths by Sam's Profile, 45 lengths by Mary Francis. I know they're over hurdles. I just look at, unless Willie is just doing a very, very clever thing, giving him a run back into Bobby Joe. I thought he probably should have beaten Acapella Bourgeois in that, and he just didn't. And I'm just not sure. I agree with Kevin. He jumps a little bit to the right, and I'm not sure. Paul mightn't be around now on Saturday. Is a big negative. I'm not sure about this horse.
I think what Coddy's trying to say is he doesn't fancy it. I mean, it's up £12 since the Irish National win. I mean, he did hose up in that Irish National, but it's £12, and you could argue he's not quite in the greatest form he's ever been. He's 8-1 because he's Willie Mullins, isn't he, basically? He's the champion of Ireland. Ireland has just whipped our backsides at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Look at... I know John Joe's technically British, although he's not, but then you've got Mullins, Ted Walsh, Henry de Bromhead, with all the market leaders. Everyone's latching on to this lot.
Yep, and of course the rider who did most damage at Cheltenham was Rachel Blackmore. Looking likely, although not official, I don't think yet, that she's going to ride Minella Times for Henry de Bromhead. That would seem logical. I mean, Jamie, she knows the horse inside out, doesn't she?
Yeah, she really does. And this horse has run very, very well in big handicaps. The Paddy Power behind Castlebawn West at Christmas. They're very, very good, solid runs. And, it'll be interesting to see Manila Endo won the Gold Cup, Manila Times out of the same John Allen farm and out of that nursery. It'd be a great story if he could have a Gold Cup winner and a Grand National winner in the same year. So I think this horse will be thereabouts. Off that weight, he's got a chance.
Well, I suppose it would be one that we'd all look back on, Kevin, and say, well, of course she won the Grand National. It's her year.
Yeah, well, that's it. One lack for confidence from the saddle. Look, don't have anything really against the horse, bar that he's unraced beyond 3 miles, and he just wouldn't strike you as a real dour stayer. So, it'll be unknown territory there from kind of 3.5 miles onwards. And sure, look, you'll wish them the best now, but he wasn't the highest one up on my list. And I tell you, Hunty, just one that we better mention. Mares, a mare hasn't won this race since 1951, I think, but Magic of Light gave a fair crack at it 2 years ago. And, why couldn't she run well again? To me, I know she's 2 years older, but to me, she looks as good this season as she did leading up to the Grand National 2 years ago. And by God, she absolutely relished it. I thought she really took well to it. I suppose she's actually a really good example of how the fences have changed in the Grand National, because she made 2 mistakes that in the old days she would have been upside down. She absolutely landed in the chair and managed to didn't even lose too much momentum. But she, despite those 2 pearlers of mistakes, she made Tiger Roll work for it. And she's £5 higher now. But, she's been in good form. I wouldn't worry about the last run. I think that the Mayor's Chase at Cheltenham was just all a bit sharp for her. And I'd imagine they were using that as a tee up for this as well. So the ground, I don't think, will be any problem. For one that's kind of been there and done it and run a stormer despite making mistakes, she's still a 20-1 shotter. So I wouldn't want to be forgetting about her now.
Well, I reckon if you like Magic of Light, you've got to like Annibale Fly as well. I know the form has disappeared over the last couple of years, but on a line through that national run where Magic of Light was second, Kevin, they were back in 5th place on the day with Annibale Fly. But there's about a stone turnaround. Yeah,
he's come down the weights. He has disappeared a little bit form-wise, but you can, when a horse runs well in the national, inevitably their trainers are going to be tempted to make it all about the national, getting back there again. I'm just looking here. He was 4th off 159 in 2018, 5th off 164 in 2019, and he runs off 155 here. So he's going to relish the test. What you're betting on, I suppose, is how much ability he retains. If he's something like the horse he was 2 years ago, he's got to be in the mix again. But there's a chance he may just not quite be the same horse.
Kevin, can I just ask you something about Jessica Harrington? Because obviously, on the old At the Races channel, we covered the Irish racing. We don't do that now, so we don't follow it quite as closely, some of us over here, as we used to. But Jessica Harrington, is it just a twist of fate that she's... I looked her up. She's won one Grade 2 novice hurdle in 2021. No other graded race. She's won quite a classy handicap. But in general terms, 2, 3, 4 years ago, you'd be thinking Jessica Harrington matching Gordon Elliott and Denise Foster now and Willie Mullins. Is this because she's more on the flat now, or is it just one of those seasons and she'll bounce back next year?
No, I think it's just a reflection of changing policies in the yard, Matt. She has an extremely high quality of owner now, gets in like really high quality yearlings from the Niarchos family and from all sorts of sources. And it's just a case of there's only room for so many. And when you're getting yearlings of that class in, they might take precedent over the jumpers. And that's probably reflected in her national hunt numbers for the last few seasons, but were particularly so in the last two.
So in some ways, we could be saying that this could be one of the last chances Jessie gets to win a massive race over jumps. Are we literally at that stage, Kevin?
Possibly so, but she might win a Guineas or a Derby just as easy in the next couple of years, like the class of 2-year-old she's getting. So it's a change. Jessica Harrington, I suppose, came to prominence for Moscow Flyer and all those wonderful horses there back 20 years ago or so, but she's been banging out Group 1 winners for quite a while too, and is doing extremely well under that code at the minute.
Just making a few notes here, Kevin. Matt says Jessie's gone at the game. That's that. Is there going to be a Welsh National winner step forward and win at Aintree, Matt? Secret Reprieve and, of course, Potter's Corner. Evan Williams, Christian Williams. They'll be excited, won't they, those two?
Yes, they will, John. Of those two, I'd much prefer Secret Reprieve. He needs 3 to come out. He's on the same mark as Some Neck at the moment, but because Some Neck has been put up £1 for his Cheltenham run, he is number 42 and Secret Reprieve number 43. Look, you could have argued that there was a little bit of Master Oats about Secret Reprieve when he won the Welsh National, that he could even be a native river type, turn into a Gold Cup horse. They've kept him back. I don't know. It doesn't sound like they've strictly kept him back just for this race. It's how it's worked out. He was hugely impressive. I mean, he looks like a horse who will stay all day and jumps for fun. And I don't know what Coddy feels, but Coddy, in my book, if you've got a horse who stays all day and jumps for fun and has already shown a bit of class, you'd be kind of stupid to say he couldn't win the Grand National.
Definitely, Matt. I would agree with you here. He's only 7, so I suppose the biggest worry is will he get in? 43 needs 3 to come out before Saturday. Has that happened before in the week of coming to a national? I'm not that sure. But I like this horse, and he hasn't run since the 9th of January in the Welsh National, and yeah, look at he's an improver, and if he gets a good clear passage around and takes to the fences and can handle the speed, I suppose that'll be the main worry. Like he's by Flemingsford, so it's just whether on the better surface he's going to be as effective. As Kevin said, they will water to maintain that on the slower side of good, but just whether he'll have that enough tactical speed over the first 5 or 6 fences down to Beechers just to get into a rhythm, and maybe that he wouldn't be taken off his feet. But he's definitely a horse on the improve, and I agree with you. He could be very, very interesting if he gets in.
Gosh, Kevin, if you were to miss out, that would be rough luck on everybody concerned, including the owners, the Ruckers, who had so many great years with State of Play around the National.
Well, that's it. Look, but someone's going to miss out. He'll need a small bit of luck to get in. If he does, the Trends boys will tell you he can't win. The last 7-year-old to win this race was literally in the emergency 1940. But I think that's one that will inevitably get broken. The way this race is changing, I think younger, progressive chasers are going to be able to win it. And sure, look, he has a great profile. He was very impressive in the Welsh National. Didn't even need his girt to be done up to get the job done in the end. It was remarkable stuff. And I think he has the right set of tools. Prefer a little bit of rain, probably. But if he gets in now, I could see him being quite well backed on the day and being a big danger to all. But it'll be a sweat for his connections, I suspect.
I suppose so.
Hunty, don't you think the only person willing this horse not to get in, whatever he says, is Adam Wedge?
No, I disagree.
Oh, he will be.
No way. Give us the jockey's perspective, Jamie. So Adam Wedge sadly misses out on the ride. But look, it's his horse. He's gonna want it to run, isn't he?
No way.
Yes, of course he is.
You fall for this nonsense from jockeys. Coddy, you, if you're Adam Wedge, you are willing the horse not to get in, aren't you?
Yeah. You have to be a politician in this instance, I suppose, Matt, and you have to say, yeah, and the minute you go off screen, then you're sticking daggers.
I mean, it's just human, isn't it? Look, I know it's all about a team player, etc., but if you're Adam Wedge and this goes and wins the National,
yeah,
and you're well done to the owners, well done, James, well done, Evan, and after that, you go for a long walk.
Yeah, I don't know.
The only thing that I have to say on it, Adam Wedge is hurt, so it's taken out of his hands. Whereas if something else happened, or the owners wanted to change jockey, or I don't know, or the trainer jocked him or something, I don't know. But if that was the case, you'd be definitely sticking pins in a voodoo doll. But maybe this time you have to be a little bit of a team player and go, look, I can't be there, but I do want to see my trainer and my owner and owners have a really good day. You know.
Brings me back to the Breeders' Cup. I can't remember his name now, but there was the old trainer at the Breeders' Cup who had voodoo dolls of all the other trainers.
Did he really? Yeah.
He's banned now, but he stuck pins in them all around his stable. Anyway, that's another story.
He must have been a nutcase.
I'm quite pleased I haven't mentioned his name.
I can imagine Chapman having voodoo dolls of all the other at the races and ITV presenters, I reckon.
just you, Kevin. Just you. It's quite a hefty doll, actually, to be quite frank. Big chair.
I tell you what, if the rota comes out for us at Royal Ascot and I'm sent to Foss Lass and Matt gets the gig on Queen Anne Day, I'm going to say, best of luck, Matt. I hope it goes well for you. I don't want you tripping over your words and making a fool of yourself.
But this is because you're fickle and you think the viewers believe you.
Oh, look, Adam Wedge, wherever you are, best of luck. I hope everything goes well with your recovery. Now then, what a fairy tale result. Bristol de May is the fairy tale, isn't it? The popular grey, the top weight, the horse everybody loves. Daryl Jacob loves him. He loves those stamina-sapping Haydock races. He can win, can't he?
I suppose he can.
No, you don't think he can?
Look, and it's not the weight. It's not the weight. You know, people will tell you top weights can't win. But again, the race is changing. And in general, the way the British handicapping team are working now, I think that the top weights will always have better chances in these high-class handicaps than one might expect. And look, I know he's got plenty of form on good to soft ground, but, you know, he does prefer it a bit softer, doesn't he? Jumping-wise, I think he'll be okay. I could see him running well now. But, you know, if he'd run it, you know, 2 years ago maybe, you would have given him a better chance. He's been to the well plenty now. And I know, look, he's such an admirable horse. You know, he won a Grade 1 juvenile hurdle back in about 1992. And he's only 10, it's hard to believe. But I'd love to see him run well. His connections have kept him fresh for this. He seems to like being fresh. And I'd love to see him run a big one now. But he didn't end up in my last list of 4.
When he finished behind Native River, Jamie, at Sandown, they said straight away, National, and here's his chance.
Yeah, it is his chance. Look, he's a 10-year-old. His first attempt at it. I think he's going to give Daryl Jacob a brilliant ride around. But I kind of disagree with Kevin. I do think the weight could stop him in a race like this. I'm kind of looking down around more maybe on the 11 stone or 10-10 mark or in around there. I just feel it's the usual for a national winner to win off that kind of a weight. And I feel possibly ground. Kevin right there, Saddler Maker would want a little bit more dig in the ground. But I think he'll get a brilliant ride off him. I just think maybe crossing Melling Road the last time, I think this horse mightn't be there.
I mean, he likes front running, don't we? And to front run against Cloth Cap off a bottom weight is going to be hard. And the simple truth is, while we all love him, and I'm not an absolute believer that he can only run at Haydock, but he's only won 2 races in the last 4 years, and both of those have been at Haydock. It kind of beggars belief that he'll suddenly go and win the National. But you know what? Fair play to Manu and Suede for having him in there. And Daryl Jacobs, one of those guys, you would wish him all the success. I think it's good for the race that he's in there, but I'm not absolutely sure there's going to be much point in him being there.
It'd be great if he's 2 to jump and he's still in the mix, and say your bet's out of contention. He's the one you'd be rooting for, wouldn't he?
I think with 2 to jump,
Or would you be
Daryl Jacobs down here. He's going, Haydock, it's Haydock, it's Haydock. He's whispering away, trying to convince Bristol it's Haydock.
Yeah. Jamie, if he's got a little bit too much weight, does the storyteller have a bit too much as well, would you say?
I think this could be a step too far for him, maybe. I know Keith Donoghue is really excited now to be heading over for Saturday and riding him. I don't know. He's been a marvellous horse. I think he'll be a great ride. Just will that weight, and he's had a busy old season now, to be fair to him. Like he hasn't missed either. Like he was in Down Royal. Went to Christmas over hurdles, came back, was second to Kenboy, and then ended up in the Stairs hurdle as well. So he's had a busy enough old year this year, and now he's going to Aintree. So look, at marvellous horse for connections. I'd love to really, really see him run well, but I'm not sure whether he'll be there at the business end.
I'll ask you and Kevin about a really interesting, well-backed Irish plunge horse who we know well. This gamble's come from left of field, so far as I'm concerned. We'll ask you about that in a moment or two. Lots of you have been leaving messages, some nice, some not so nice, as you watch along. Thanks ever so much for getting involved. That's the whole point of the show, isn't it? Mags, you have been leaving loads and loads of comments, and no wonder Mags is getting excited, because Mags has got an anti-post cloth cap voucher at 25 to 1. What a lovely bet that is, Mags. You're going to have to lay that off. Paul Anderson, he can't have Secret Reprieve. The reason being 7-year-olds have a terrible, terrible record. Kevin
the
drew
Trends
to
boys.
that, didn't he? That was your fault,
The
Kevin,
Trends
wasn't it?
boys. You got to love them.
How many have tried, though?
Matt, hang on a minute. Because Marco wants to say
Since
hello to you.
1940, how many have tried?
Marco says, Matt is a bluffer who knows nothing about horses. That's a bit unkind, Marco.
I'm just pleased he began that word with B rather than F.
Favourite backer. There you go, Marco. If you want to add to your comments, Marco, and it's polite enough, we'll get you involved. Darren Birdie's really pleased with you, Jamie, for showing off his artwork behind you there.
He was good enough. Petit Mouchoir in the Land Rover bumper behind me, and the good day, this side.
Yeah.
My wife and I got married, and he done a booklet, depict the front of the booklet and all like that. So it was lovely. We were delighted to get him. So really nice. He's great. He's very, very good, and I love his work.
Coddy, I'm a big man for framing. You'll notice Kevin Blake has got himself absolutely like a James Bond villain, symmetrical, perfect. You need one more birdie, don't you? Just on the other side of your right ear, the left as we're looking. So perhaps Birdie could knock you up something else just to put that side.
Yeah, well, if I turned more this way, there's a kitchen here for my little girls, and I'm trying to get out of that screen, so...
Stephen's been in touch. He's obviously referring to Darren's famous accuracy. He feels that you're punching perhaps a little bit above your weight there, Jamie.
My weight?
You clearly shouldn't have the wife you've got, is basically what he's saying.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's a bit harsh.
That went well.
No, it's not harsh. It's not harsh.
Don't hang up on us, Jamie.
I'm not saying anything. I think I'm the only person on this panel who's not got a wife.
I told you not to read that one, Matt. I told you that wouldn't work. Jamie, I would like your view, though, on this plunge on Discorama, who obviously is a horse we know really, really well. I backed him a few times. He's hard to win with, isn't he? But someone really fancies him for Paul Nolan's yard. He's about a 16's chance now.
Yeah, so you have to fancy something, I suppose. I don't see it myself. I don't see it. Since LeBrule and Discorama fought out that National Hunt Chase a couple of years ago, they've been finding it very, very tough, and I don't know where you're going to pull either of them out of. Look, I could be very, very wrong. It's a national; anything can happen. But and look at, they're weighted to get in, so you're obviously going to let them take a chance. But I find it very, very difficult to fancy maybe either of them, really.
You were good that day on Le Breuil, weren't you, Jamie? Very good.
My wife said that as well. So,
with Discorama, one part of him that I don't think everyone watching might know is that he's half owned by Andy Gemmell, the Paisley Park man.
Yeah.
Even though he's Irish with Paul Nolan.
Yep. Paisley Park runs Saturday as well, doesn't he?
So you knew that, did you?
I did know that, only because I was looking at him earlier on today. I was just trying to work out.
Andy Gemmell.
Yeah, I was trying to work out where this gamble's coming from, because he's an exposed horse, Kevin, isn't he?
He is. Look, I suppose that the stamina's proven, at least, that was a national hunt, a proper 4-miler before they shortened up the trip, and it was very tough conditions. I can't help but think he'd prefer softer ground. And the other thing is that, sometimes, and we've mentioned it a few times, when a horse has been trained with one race in mind, you're happy enough to forgive poor runs in the lead up to it. I don't necessarily think this fella was being campaigned with a national in mind in the first half of the season. And I was just very disappointed with his run at Cheltenham back in November. He kind of raced freely, which was a bit surprising. And it just wasn't the sort of step I want to see a horse taking before, while they're being teed up for a national. He's going to go there fresh. If he races freely like that again over the national trip, he's going to struggle to get home. And I think he'd want the taps left on overnight now to give him his best chance, I think.
I'll tell you one horse.
Go on.
We haven't talked about yet.
Go on, Matt.
I wonder if anyone on the panel fancies Annabelle Fly.
We have talked a little bit about Annabelle Fly.
Not enough, though.
This is typical Chapman now. When he's not talking, he's not listening. He didn't even pay any attention when we spoke at length about Annabelle Fly about 10 minutes ago.
One person didn't talk enough about it, though.
Well, he's been 4th and 5th in the race, and now ridiculously well handicapped on some of his best form, including a 2nd place in the Cheltenham Gold Cup, Matt. I think he's a player. You don't, do you? You don't fancy him at all?
I'm not so sure.
You don't like him?
No.
Anyway, while you ponder that, Jamie, can we come to you? Because obviously we've asked all you guys to come up with a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the national. So it's time to put our thoughts in some sort of order. Jamie, can you go first? Who do you think's going to win, and who do you think will be the main threats?
I kind of threw up a few, just a few of prices there, just a different kind of prices. I just thought Manila Times, maybe a little bit heart overhead. I'd love to see, John Allen's Nursery win the Gold Cup and a Grand National. So it's a little bit like that. He's solid form. Milan Native is a horse I really, really like. Kim Muir winner last year, came back. He won on his reappearance in Galway, beating Discorama, and a little bit disappointing since, but he's had a few tweaks, and he seems to be really coming into form. I think his sire Milan will help him. I think he'll stay. The better ground will suit him, and if he gets into a good rhythm, I think this is a horse that could run really, really well. Mr. Malarkey, just going back to the conditional form from the Ascot Chase, just a horse at a price, and I'd love to see it given Colin Tizard a real swan song. And Hogan's Height, won a previous winner over the national fences, has been campaigning in the national or in the cross country sphere, and just at a price, look at maybe a bit of fun.
Yeah, well, last time he went there for the Grand Sefton, he bolted up, didn't he? So that's an interesting one, Jamie. The amount of Gavin Shear in that one, Hogan's Height. 2 horses been well back since we've been broadcasting. Mr. Malarkey's one of them. From you, Jamie. Thanks. That price is going. Taking Risks, another one. Taking Risks was one you gave a good mention to, Kevin, wasn't he?
Yeah, I've stuck my list kind of in order, and I had taking Risks in as my 4th choice. You know, kind of the big price swing, if you will. And I did have a fair bit of agonising now between Any Second Now and Borough Saint, because I've had the 2 of them in mind for a while for the race. They've obviously both shortened up now recently, so that they're, you know, very much at the front end of the market. But Any Second Now, I'm just hoping, I assume Mark Walsh will ride, and I hope he rides him the way Derek rode him in the Kimure. You know, really brave, drop him in on the rail. I don't, you know, back in the old days, you wouldn't do that because of the drop on the inside was so much steeper, but that's not an issue anymore. And I'd love to see him ridden with a small bit of patience up the inside, pick his way, take his time, and hopefully arrive there with a big chance. Borough Saint, we talked about as well. If he can return to the sort of form that saw him win the Irish National a couple of years ago, he'll have a fabulous chance. Been trained for the race. Magic of Light just needs to do what she did 2 years ago. Ideally, not headbutting the chair or the last like she did last year. It didn't stop her finishing second, but it would certainly it's not conducive to helping her cause. So hopefully she doesn't do that this time. And I could see her running another big race, looking to become the first mare to win it since, you know, for 70-odd years, and taking risks, as mentioned. I tell you what, you know, we always look for a story in the Grand National. If Taking Risks was to win it, it really would be sensational now. Nicky Richards, what a legend. And as has been mentioned, this horse very close to his heart. I'd imagine this will be a torrid experience for him, running a horse that you have such an emotional connection to in a race like the Grand National. But by God, if he won, wouldn't it be sensational?
It really, really would. So Kevin predicting there a 1-2-3 for the Irish train runners. Where do you stand on it, old man?
I thought that was a poor list, to be honest, from Kevin Blake.
What, like second favourite ahead of third favourite?
I mean, Any Second Now's in there because all the Irish journalists are terrified of Ted Walsh, so they just try and get on his good books. So Kevin's saying, oh, I'm nice to speak to Ted Walsh next week, better be nice about him. Borough Saint, Coddy is already absolutely dissed. Kevin didn't listen. We know that Taking is a little bit too old. What was the other one he put in there? I can't remember.
Magical Light.
Magic of Light. Not listening again,
He
man.
didn't listen.
No, I did. We had the conversation, didn't you? Jessica Harrington's flat race.
Oh, yeah, I've got it down here. Gone at the game, yeah.
Should we get to a better list?
Yeah,
OK.
On, Matt. Reveal all. We've been waiting all day for it.
I can't wait to put this up in 12 months' time, if I'm still alive. Kimberlite Candy, McClernand, Ritchie, Twinkle Eyes. I can't wait to speak to you straight after the Grand National, man. 12-1, you'll have banged it in. JP's been a good supporter of yours. Most of the time, he gives you the really tricky horses to ride that have got very little ability. This is your big chance, son. Cloth Cap, all the stars, all the journalists will want to rule it out. We all know that Cloth Cap will probably go and hack up. It's chucked in. Secret Reprieve is a national horse, if not this year, next year. And at a price, and I've not really put it in fourth there, I've kind of got it like in the first 8, the Leon Rouge. Why are you laughing, Blake? Bookmakers will pay down to 8th place. Why are you laughing,
that's
man?
Fine.
Instruction
They'll
was to give us a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Honestly, Kevin Blake is like the Marco Gianni of the presenting world. He's just got that. My mum, yeah, who is not the easiest to please as far as TV, and probably
Don't go offending her as well, Matt.
No, she loves Kevin Blake. I have to keep putting her right all the time.
Well, he's got that twinkle. I mean,
No,
what's
she
not to like?
loves him. She would watch a show.
Favourite.
She will watch the show when it's just Kevin Blake. She'd watch the Kevin Blake show.
Yeah. Jamie,
Thanks
Marco
for
Gianni is
tuning
the
in, Mrs.
happiest young
Chapman.
jockey on
You
the
have
flat scene
excellent
over here
taste.
at the moment. Is there a jump jockey in Ireland who's really, really great fun?
Great fun.
Yeah. Always
yeah,
playing pranks and stuff, that sort of thing.
No, I
So there's no one fun in Ireland.
not really. Like, we take our racing quite seriously over here, as you can see from the results.
Oh, touche!
Very, very good. Very, very good.
Still, I'd rather get no wins than be a miserable so-and-so like you lot.
Yeah, no, Jody McGarvey is a great fella, and he had a great he had 2 Grade 1 winners in Fairy House there over the weekend, and he's good fun.
That Richie Condon, he looked good fun.
Terrific, yeah. You would if you'd just done what he did at Cheltenham, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You would smile
and remember, again here, don't believe all of this, because you only have to go to the hole in the wall during Galway to know what the jockeys are like. They're all good fun.
That's
all
it.
good fun.
Well, most of them anyway.
Who's going to ride Annabelle Fly, do you reckon? Because that's my winner of the Grand National. I think it's the best value left out there, to be honest with you. At around 25 to 1. We've discussed at length, 33 if you like. We've discussed at length, haven't we, about his previous runs in the National. He's been completely out of the ballpark for a couple of years. And he's got one more throw of the dice, aged 11. He's so well treated on his best form. I know it's a leap of faith to think he can deliver his best form, but if you're going to go out with a bang, why not do it in the National? So Annabelle Fly for me, just ahead of Any Second Hour, Magic of Light and Cloth Cap. All have been discussed at length today. Cloth Cap, I've got nothing against him at all. I think he'll run well, but I think he'll run out of puff. Now, let's direct you to the At The Races website for the brilliant Grand National guide on there now, attheraces.com/national. Expert insight, tips and odds are plenty. The stats with Paul Jones, that's a really, really good read. Paul indicating the fact that, and this will please you, Matt, with your cloth cap Air Scottish National reference, so many Grand National winners have come from running in a national, be it a Welsh, Irish or Scottish version. So that maybe not be a big surprise, but it's when you see it written down like Paul has framed it, that's a really interesting point to make. Any other business on the Grand National before we move on? Have we failed to mention anything, Kevin, that you did want to get a squeeze on?
The thing is, it's not 1,000,000 to 1 that the winner hasn't been mentioned, but hopefully we have mentioned him or her.
I agree. Jamie, anything to add on the National?
Not really, no. I think we've covered the most of it, and sure, look at this. It's a National, so there will be a surprise, but I think there's a winner in what we've been talking about.
And Matt, before we move
No,
on.
I mean, the only horse I can ever mention, I don't think he can win it at his age now, but not long ago, Definitely Red was one of the leading fancies for the Grand National, and he's now a 40 to 1 shot.
Yeah.
He's 12, so he's probably too old, but he does have some back class, and if he happened to just recapture a bit of that for whatever reason, he's a good old stick, and there'll be one or two people who will back him just because they've backed him plenty of times before. So,
and I think you've got to go back to Red Rum for the winner of the Haydock Grand National Trial to go and win at Aintree itself. Lord Dumainil, tough as you like. If, as Kevin says, they chuck a load of water on, he'd need a load of water, Kevin, wouldn't he? But if he gets that, then he wouldn't be out of it necessarily.
Yeah, I'd say he would. Rain would be the key there, and rain seems unlikely. The best chance might come from the water and tap getting left on overnight, but with Chapman standing guard, that surely won't happen.
Now, this year, of course, there's no Tiger Roll. Much debate about he's going to run in the Betway Bowl on Thursday afternoon. Let's take a quick canter through Thursday and see what we make of it. It's a good day's racing, obviously, a very good day's racing. Stacks of Grade 1s on the card. Tiger Roll is a 5 to 1 chance, mixing it with Clan des Obeaux, Native River, Waiting Patiently, and others. Hands up here, fellas. I think round that tight track over those Malmay fences, he's going to get lapped, Tiger Roll. I don't think he'll like it. Where do you stand?
I'd be worried about him now. I'd be worried about him. It's just such a pity, isn't it? You know, we should be talking about Tiger Roll bidding for history in the big one. It's just a really unsatisfactory. It's a shame, really. But look, they're giving him his go here. First time to run in a Grade 1 chase at the age of 11. Yeah. It's mad, really. You know, if you were the type to underestimate Tiger Roll, he would have made a fool of you plenty of times. But I'm afraid I can't fancy him here against the likes of Clan des Obeaux and established Grade 1 horses over regulation fences. I think he, as sweet as he looked at Cheltenham, I think this is going to be a very tricky test for him.
Where do you stand on him, given the Thursday's task, Jamie? Tiger Roll against these really good confirmed Grade 1 horses?
Yeah, look, it's competitive. It's a very competitive Grade 1, but I wouldn't say it's it's a top of the range Grade 1. Like, you know, Native River was beaten 30 lengths in the Gold Cup this year. Clondezobo was beaten by Secret Investor at Newbury on his latest run in the Denman Chase. And you're looking down for someone like Waiting Patiently, who has been a nearly horse, but he's probably the horse I fancy. I don't know. I actually don't know where Tiger Roll fits in. We haven't seen him in a Grade 1 chase. He's gone from Triumph to a National Hunt Chase into the
North.
Sorry.
Jamie, I think there was just a blip on the line there. Do carry on, sir.
I think Kevin was correcting you on something, I think, because Kevin...
No, apologies. I made an amateur error there. The director was talking in my ear and I responded to him, not knowing my mic was live.
So Kevin's having a chat to the director
Jamie.
on air. I tell you what we'll do, Kevin. We'll give you his phone number afterwards, and you can have a chat then, eh?
My apologies.
Sorry, Coddy. Anyway, you were saying before Kevin Blake rudely interrupted.
That's no problem. Yeah, so I don't know where Tiger fits in. Like, as I say, it's his first Grade 1 chase at the age of 11. I suppose the only thing is it doesn't look like there will be a lot of pace bar Native River. And maybe if he can pop out there and find his rhythm, he'll be there for a long way. But I definitely sit on the fence there. And look, I'd be just delighted. I'm watching Tiger Roll for the last 6 or 7 years, and I hope he just comes home in one piece out of Aintree and he can move on.
Do you think the Tiger will roar on Thursday, Matt?
Look, if there were on-course bookmakers, which obviously there aren't, but if there were, surely this is the one horse you would love to lay to the cows come home. All those local punters who've watched this horse win 2 nationals just piling onto Tiger Roll because they know the name without any perhaps knowledge in some cases of the difference between what he takes on here. I mean, I have no idea how he'll run. I don't think any of us do. But all we do know is that all of his improvement recently has come over strange obstacles, not these kind of obstacles. And everything tells you. I mean, personally, and don't get me wrong, I love Michael O'Leary. He's just my kind of bloke. I love interviewing him. I love the fact you never know what he's going to do or say. That's my kind of person. But if you're worried about the welfare of a horse, which is the argument with the Grand National, I would have thought this was much more likely to be against what Tiger Roll wants than running in the National. So I don't get it myself. I actually genuinely believe that Clondezobo is a good thing here.
Do you?
I just... Cheap pieces first time, which not everyone will have studied these cards, but I have, actually. I've studied Thursday anyway. And cheap pieces first time... He's a dual King George winner. My reading was Native River's going to be too slow on this ground. Waiting Patiently, he's not got the stamina on for this against Clondezobo. And I just think he's going to be too good. I think he'll completely outclass this field. And not having run at Cheltenham might mean he's a bit fresher as well.
OK. Well, there's a few in the Aintree hurdle on Thursday that didn't run at Cheltenham. Song for Someone, Brewing Up a Storm, of course, who won at Fontwell. McFabulous. But Abracadabras did run at Cheltenham and fell early. I feel, Jamie, Jack Kennedy and Denise Foster for a right good chance of putting that right on Thursday.
Yeah, he's bounced out of that really, really well. You know, you never like to see a horse get a hard fall, and he did get a good fall in Cheltenham, but he schooled the other day with Jack, and he's in good old form. I think the 2.5 will actually suit him because they'll be able to hold on to him a little bit longer, and flat track will suit. He has, every time he's lined up against Jason the Militant, he has beaten him in Down Royal and then again in the Morgiana back in Punchestown. So I think if Abracadabras is going to have a day, I think this is probably it.
Where do you stand on that race, Kev?
Yeah, well, Chapman laughed at me for putting up Jason the Militant as a potential each-way option against the front of the market and the Champion Hurdle. They didn't run him in the end on account of the ground. They've declared him here. I assume they're going to have a good look at the ground before they decide to run. But if they do, I wouldn't rule him out at all. And again, Chapman was laughing at me for mentioning the fact that he beat Petit Mouchois, gave him £9 and a hammer in a Fairyhouse the last time we saw him. But Petit Mouchois, in fairness, came out and nearly won a county hurdle off 155 since. So it puts a nice shine on that form. He's going up in trip. I think that'll be okay. And I just like to see them let the horse take his chance on what will hopefully be nice, safe, good to soft ground. Because I think he'll be okay on it. And look, I think the talent is there. He's kind of snuck up the ranks there this season. He was right on top of Abacadabras earlier this season. And I think up in this trip now, he might be able to reverse that form and run a big one.
Betting race for you, Matt, or not?
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm
lovely.
still trying to get over that Blake stuff just now. As far as I can work out, ladies and gentlemen, he was trying to be chippy over something that didn't happen and over something that nearly happened. Hello? It doesn't really... Really? You tried to be chippy over something that didn't happen and something that nearly happened. OK, great. I stunned myself, and I think I will stun my learned friends when I came to the decision that I made in this race. And that was the value lies with Bouverdere.
Wow.
Former winner, second in the race. Now, obviously, he cannot win on what he did at Haydock, but there was a glimmer up to about 3/4 of the Haydock race that he still had an engine. And I think this is a really pants renewal of this race. I mean, it's not anything like the Isterbrat. I know Isterbrat got beat, but there's nothing that I think if Bouverdere at about 10 to 1, I think he's a fair each way bet.
Well, Jamie, you half fancied him for Cheltenham, didn't you, where he didn't appear?
Yeah, no, I did. I just wonder. I think this horse is better over 2 mile than the 2.5. Like he was beaten here by Jesse's horse.
Super Sunday.
Super
Sunday, yeah. So I just maybe the 2.5. Look, maybe I think he'll run well. I just feel that he was a real Cheltenham specialist, and the track and the trip and everything suited him. I was a little bit surprised that they did bypass it, but look at Nicky Henderson as master trainer, and he wasn't doing it for no reason. But I just feel that maybe the younger guns this time might have too much for him, the likes of what Kevin was saying, Jason the Militant and Abacadabras.
Well, he's only gone 2.5 miles twice, and that was in this race, and he's finished first and second.
I think he's got a right good chance. It's a good race, that, even though you've just dismissed it as rubbish, Matt. But there you go. Now, another race that Jamie has won before is the Foxhunters on day number 1. On the Fringe gave you a great sprint round there, Jamie. And I see you've landed on Mighty Stowaway. I won't bore you all night, but I watched that horse really, really closely at Cheltenham. The reason was I had already crowned Rachel Blackmore before Jack Kennedy got the leg up on that. And Jack, in theory, when they ran the Hunters Chase at Cheltenham, could still have won. And I was thinking, oh, please don't win here. And it ran an absolute beauty, beaten some way, but Jack crept from the back of the field and produced him with a bit of a chance, Jamie. I think you might get a good spin from him, you know. Yeah,
I hope so. I hope so. Look at he looked to be travelling into it down the back, and I think he missed the one after the ditch before you turn down, and he kind of missed that quite badly and just lost a bit of momentum, and he just never really recovered. Look at if it could get out, get into a rhythm, take to the fences. I'm looking forward to him now. I think if he just gets into a good rhythm over the first 2 fences and enjoys it, anything could happen. Mm-hmm. But there is a few classier types in there.
Bill Away, I mean, he still couldn't quite manage to win, could he? Patrick must be really looking forward to running him on Thursday. He's got a great chance, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm not so sure Aintree is made from. He can be a little bit novice-y over fences, and he can take a liberty. Every day he goes, he can miss one. And look at it, I don't think he didn't really miss a beat in Cheltenham. He was ridden very prominently, and I'd say Patrick will be very keen to get out the gate and really make use of him, because he stays anyway 3 mile 2 with Cheltenham. You're back to 2.5 on a level track. So if he gets a good rhythm jumping, he's one of the best horses in the race, definitely.
The whole meeting opens up with an intriguing manifesto novice chase. Kevin, we'll come to you here because the shunter's in this lineup here, and it's only a small field. He could easily be good enough, couldn't he?
Possibly, John, but look, he's stepping up into Grade 1 company, you know, having albeit won well at the Cheltenham Festival in a handicap. You know, excellent £7 claimer on him in Jordan Gainford. And he won well, but this is a different task altogether. And I thought, and look, he's had a busy time of it. You know, he'd a real hard race at Kelso before going to Cheltenham. So he's had 2 tough out races in a short space of time. And I just thought the likes of a Fusel Raffles now, who's, you know, well established at the highest level, ran very well at Cheltenham. You know, he's not the best novice chaser around, but I'd say he's going to end up close enough to a 160 horse. And I'd say, you know, even the shunter, he's on a charge. We haven't reached the ceiling with him yet, but I thought Fusel Raffles would take a lot of beating around here on this ground.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on that Thursday card you're looking forward to, Matt? Adagio in the juvenile race, the big juvenile race, to give Tom Skew a great start to the week?
Looks as though it's got one to beat, doesn't it? The Nichols horse in there, Mom Mirrell. I'd actually back Adagio over the Nichols. I just won. Look, Paul's runner has done nothing wrong, but I'm just not absolutely quite sure how competitive the races are to have got the mark it's got, which of course mathematically works out. But Adagio second in the Triumph, I think that's good form, super tough. So I'm hoping that will start Tom Skew. And of the other races, I actually thought the Patrick Mullins horse, but I thought Billaway was a really good bet. I mean, yes, of course, there's always that thing you've got to get round, but it's the same for every other horse. Then you have to think, well, OK, at 3-1, do I want to take the risk? But to be honest, I'd be quite happy to do so. And the novice chase, I thought that was really hard. I probably would come down on Fusel Raffles, but...
Yeah, tough race.
Nothing in particular in that.
Kevin, any final thoughts on day one?
No, I'm looking forward to giving you one for day 2, though.
Come on, then. You've set it up beautifully.
In the Topham, there's a sneaky one there now that I like at a big price, John. Trained by the man at the moment, Henry de Bromhead, Visio Man. And he's a horse that probably not a lot of the viewers would have heard of, because he's been quite low profile, progressing up the ranks quietly. And we've seen a lot of him during the summer months. He's won around Kilbeggan a few times, but as we saw in the Irish National yesterday, there's nothing wrong with Kilbeggan form. And he's a typical Henry de Bromhead horse, if you want to roll out the cliche. He's just come alive since he's gone over fences. He's a particularly good jumper. I think he'll take to these fences very well. And look, I think he has form claims. They gave him a prep run over an inadequate trip over hurdles the last day. I think he'll come on from that. And, you know, you can make a form book case, Hunty, but people love a sneaky little angle. And they love a little bit of insight. And I spotted something here that I think is really interesting that would give you a fair bit of encouragement. And this horse is owned by Alan Halsell, if that's the correct pronunciation. Yep. And the reason that's significant is that Alan is very much a major part of the team at Aintree. He's on the board of directors up there, I believe. And when you own a horse in a position like that, and Henry de Bromhead trains it, you just suspect, and Henry's let it slip. He mentioned it during the summer that this might be a Topham horse, and I just have a strong suspicion that they've been thinking Topham with this fella for a long time. And just because they've been thinking about it, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. But I think he looks tailor-made for the race. He's a big old price. The drying ground will be ideal for him. And I think he's my idea of the nap of the whole meeting, to be honest, John.
20-1. So he's your Mrs. Milner for Aintree, is he?
That's the one, and not quite as big a price, but we'd take it if it happened.
Visio Man, he's a 20-1 chance for the Topham. Can I just ask, guys, Kevin or Jamie, Farclas in list's favourite for that race on Friday, but also in the National. Have they decided which way he's going to go yet? Any ideas?
I think he goes for the National, John, and Jack Kennedy's going to ride him.
OK, thank you.
In the Dunbar Sefton Novices Hurdle, I really fancied Alaphilippe of Fergal O'Brien's in the Albert Bartlett. He was beaten after about one hurdle.
Yep.
He continued to jump terribly, travel badly, and yet somehow in the end he ended up finishing 5th. On the basis that he just didn't produce his A game, he's about 11-1 at the moment for that 3-miler or the 440 on the Friday. I think he's a decent each-way bet in that if he gets a chance to try it. He's not jocked up Paddy yet, which suggests that maybe he's not going to run. But time will tell when the decks come out. And if the decks do come out and he's in there, I think he's got an each-way chance.
Terrific. Thank you for that one, Matt.
It's a pleasure, John.
A la Philippe, yeah? Who ran so well at Cheltenham. Yeah.
What?
Sorry, no good. We're just going to move on.
Don't get... This is peer group pressure. Blakey and Coddy are encouraging you to tease me. And
I like it. I like it.
Oh, yeah, well.
Yeah. Jamie, have you got any other confirmed rides through the week that you could tell us about at all, or is it all up in the air still in other races?
No, just the Foxhunters at the minute, and as I say, I'm gonna go into Sneezy's in the morning, and see is there any spare rides going on Saturday. So we'll wait and see. Actually,
Jamie Codd's going to be riding Milan native. You can see the little grin in his face.
There was a smirk there, Jamie. There was.
He can't hide it.
So Charlie Johnson texts maybe for maybe a ride in the bumper on Saturday, so he might run 2. And he said so maybe that's a maybe. So we'll see what happens. Man, Kevin?
We should just say Sneezy is Denise Foster, because there might be some people who no idea about this sort of lingo that these boys use to their bosses. But
Sneezy, thanks for clearing that up, Matt.
Why are you being like this?
Because your mum's watching. I'm being really polite.
She won't be watching this, not this time.
She does. She will be watching. She loves Kevin.
People in the home have to put her to bed about 5 p.m.
Kevin, any other business throughout the week for you?
Oh, no, I think that's going to do me, John. I had a bit of fun there with Visio Man, so I think I'm going to leave it at that.
We just want a word from you guys on the Stayers hurdle, though, on Saturday. You mentioned Andrew Gemmell with Paisley Park on Saturday, Matt. I mean, I thought he was a bit flat at Cheltenham. He ran all right, but...
I just think the ground perhaps wasn't quite as deep as he might have liked. To be honest, I thought he ran a really honest race. For a horse who's had issues, he could have given up the ghost, but he didn't. Yeah. He kept trying all the way. It's obviously probably a track that wouldn't suit him quite as well as Cheltenham, but class-wise, he is still absolutely right at the top of his game. And Time Hill, is he going to definitely run? In which case,
Tom O'Brien,
big chance for Tom. Absolutely delighted for him.
Yeah.
He's every chance he's given, he's just about taken when he's had an opportunity. He's always been super talented. In many ways, look, he might not be as good as Richard Johnson, obviously, long term. Talk about a multiple champion jockey. But in many ways, he's similar character. Totally decent, just a nice person, and can ride to a very high standard. And I wish him all the best.
Yeah, lovely way to head towards the end of our preview, Jamie, really, with Richard Johnson. Obviously, he's graced Aintree for years. Not going to be there this year. It's going to be strange, isn't it, without him?
Yeah, they're all falling by the wayside, aren't they? The legends of the game, really, and Richard is no different than the Rubies and the Barry Geraghty's and the McCoys that have gone. Look, it's very rare in this game. I wouldn't know Richard that well. Obviously, I'd meet him at the festivals and all that, but I've never ever in all my years racing heard anybody say a bad word about him, and that is very, very rare. There's usually somebody to give out about you or say something about you, but as regards Richard Johnson, he's been a credit to the sport now.
Lovely words, Jamie. And listen, we send, all of us here at Sky Sports Racing, send you our best. Jamie, have a really great week. It's lovely that you're able to get back in the saddle this week. We're looking forward to seeing your skills at Aintree on Thursday onwards.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, Kevin, you okay then, mate? You done?
Yeah. No, absolute pleasure as always, lads. Hopefully we've pinpointed a winner or two, maybe. But always enjoyable. Hope we gave people a laugh, if nothing else.
Exactly. Well, Matt, thanks for the entertainment. Always good fun with you, mate.
Yeah, professional, I think, is the word you're looking for. Professional information. Did you notice, though, how Coddy's response? You have gone from being able to hold fort in a sincere manner to the end of this show, when you were trying to say something nice to Joey, but he actually couldn't even take you seriously. He just sort of smirked a little bit as you said it.
Well,
he didn't believe you, because that's the way you've gone. You've gone down that route of being mean.
Insincere, mean. Jamie, I did mean every word of it. But listen, guys, thanks for everything tonight.
And good luck with your 4 in the National, Blakey. I can't see you boasting on Twitter after the National, after you have since Cheltenham. It's been endless. Look at me, look how well I did. Oh, it's been endless. Well,
says the fella that every single weekend we're inflicted to, boom, smashed in another nap on the blog. Every single... Oh, Chapman,
which clearly just shows that I am
can't believe you've said that.
outstanding at finding winners. Great to have you on board, Blakey. I've captioned your 4, and I shall be posting minutes after the Grand National.
I think Marco was right, you know, earlier.
Marco Gianni.
Marco, you know, the emailer from earlier. It was not too complimentary, Matt, about you, but...
Well,
there we are.
He's not the first one, is he? It's not as if that's a surprise.
And Kimberlite Candy better start now if it's going to win the Grand National.
You
How about
absolute wrong.
Get a nasty one in there.
I feel like we're filling now. Can we end?
We're going to end. Look, it's bang on 10 o'clock. Thank you for your company tonight. That was Jamie Codd, that was the great Kevin Blake, and that was the one and only Matt Chapman, who on...
You absolute banana.
I once said, on his day is one of the best in the business. Do you remember when I said that?
No.
Yeah, I did.
Will you go off air?
On his day. Night, Mum. Thanks for watching. Matt's mum, that is, not mine. See you later.